I was brushing my teeth when I heard my mother laughing downstairs, this strange, sharp laugh I had never heard before. At first, I thought she was watching something on TV, but when I came down the steps, I froze. All the furniture was gone. The couch, the tables, the pictures on the wall, everything, even the curtains. "What happened?" I asked. My voice sounded small, like it belonged to someone else. My mom was standing in the middle of the empty room with a tall man I had never seen before. He wore sunglasses inside the house and had a grin that made my stomach twist. "Oh, good. You're awake," she said. "We're leaving." "Leaving where?" I asked. She smiled like she had been waiting for this moment. "Everywhere. I sold the house." I dropped my toothbrush. "You what?" "I sold the house," she repeated. "And the land. And the rental apartment. And the cabin. Everything." My heart beat so fast it hurt. "But that's all we have. You said all of that was for our future." She looked bored. "Well, now it's for my future." The man beside her slid an arm around her shoulders. "Our future," he corrected, smirking at me. I stared at them. I waited for my mum to laugh and say it was a joke, but she didn't. She picked up a shiny new suitcase and headed for the door. "Pack your things," she said. "You have an hour." "For what?" My voice was shaking. "To move into your car." The man laughed like it was the funniest thing he had ever heard. And that's how my life ended in one morning. Right there in that empty room with the walls echoing like a grave. I didn't even cry at first. I felt hollow, like someone had scooped everything out of me. All I could think was, she really did it. She sold her whole life. But the worst part was not losing the house. The worst part was knowing my mother chose a man she had known for 2 months over her own daughter. I packed 2 bags, clothes, school books, some pictures, and my grandmother's old blanket. Everything else, she said, I didn't need. When I walked out to my car, my mum didn't even look at me. "Good luck, kid," the man said, even though he didn't mean it. My mum didn't say goodbye. She only said, "Don't come back." And then she closed the door. The first night in my car didn't feel real. I parked behind a grocery store and locked the doors 3 times. I curled into the back seat with the blanket pulled tight around me. I kept expecting my phone to ring, expecting her to say, "Come home, I'm sorry, it was a mistake." But the phone stayed dark. I tried not to cry, but the tears came anyway. They fell so hard and fast I couldn't breathe. I cried until my chest hurt and my throat burned. I cried until there was nothing left inside me. Then I whispered to myself, "This is not going to break me. I will get out of this." But I didn't know yet that it would take a whole year. A year of cold nights and hot days, and fear that felt like it was stitched into my skin. A year of learning who I really was. And a year of planning how to make sure the people who did this to me, my own mother and her new lover, would never be able to hurt me again. I didn't become angry on the first night. Anjay came later. The first week, I was only scared. I showered at the gym, ate cheap food, and tried to hide the fact that I was sleeping in my car. I went to school like nothing was wrong. No one knew. I smiled in the halls and did my homework under the tiny car light. But every night when I curled up in that car, one thought kept growing like a shadow. My mom didn't lose everything. She gave it away. She chose him. She left me, and she didn't care what happened to me. That thought was a seed. It sank deep, and it grew, not into hate, not into sadness, but into something sharper, something stronger, something like fire. The man she left for Victor wasn't just some new boyfriend. At first, I didn't know this. At first, I only saw him as the man who smiled like a shark and lied like he was born to do it. But later, I would find out the truth. Later, I would learn that he had done the same thing to 5 other women. Later, I would learn that my mum wasn't his first victim, but she was the only one who threw her own daughter away for him. And that made everything different, because I wasn't just fighting for myself anymore. I was going to take him down. I was going to make her see what she had done, and I was going to do it without letting their darkness turn me into them. I didn't know it yet, But the day she sold our house was the day I started becoming someone new, someone stronger, someone smarter, someone who could survive anything. My mother thought she broke me, but she didn't break me. She built my revenge. The second night in my car was worse than the first. I thought I could get used to it, maybe find a way to make it feel normal, but nothing felt normal. The seat was too hard. The air felt too thick. The windows fogged up again and again, and the whole car smelled like old plastic and fear. I kept the blanket around me, even though it was summer, because it reminded me of my grandmother. She always said, "Hard times make strong people." But right then, I didn't feel strong. I felt like a kid pretending to be brave. In the morning, I drove to school early and parked far away from the building so no one would see me climb out of the back seat. I used the little mirror on my car visor to make myself look awake and normal. I had a math test that day. I got an A. My teacher smiled at me and said, "You always come prepared." If only she knew. If only she knew that I had studied in the parking lot of a grocery store with my car light flickering on and off. But I didn't want anyone to know. Not yet. After school, I went to my part-time job at the smoothie shop. It paid minimum wage, but it was enough to buy food and gas. I worked so hard that my boss kept giving me extra shifts. He thought I wanted the money for clothes or something fun. But every dollar I earned was a step away from the woman who threw me out. I didn't want anything from my mom ever again. Not food, not help, not love. The more I repeated that to myself, the easier it became to believe it. At night, I tried different parking spots. The gym lot, the library, the behind the mall area, where the lights buzzed all night like angry bees. I slept in short bursts, waking every time someone walked near the car or a loud sound echoed. Sometimes I heard other people in cars too, people who looked rough, angry, or desperate. I learned fast that I had to keep my doors locked. I learned that fear keeps you alert, and alert keeps you alive. Every morning, I woke up tired. But every morning, I also woke up determined. I told myself, this will not be my whole story. After a month, I started to understand something important. People don't see what they don't look for. No one noticed the dark circles under my eyes. No one wondered why I wore the same shoes every day. No one asked why I stayed late at school, even when my homework was done. I was invisible. And being invisible made it easier to watch everything around me. That's when I started to learn things. Real things. Useful things. I learned how to budget every dollar, every meal. I learned how to fix tiny things on my car using videos on my phone. I learned how to walk into a room and spot danger right away. I learned how to read people, what they say, what they hide, what they want. And slowly, a new version of me started to grow. A version of me who wasn't afraid to lose anything anymore because I had already lost everything. But even strong people have bad days. One night, around midnight, someone banged on my car window. I woke up so fast that my neck jerked. A man stood outside, hunched and wild-eyed, staring straight at me. "Hey, open up!" he shouted. My heart slammed against my ribs. I curled up, grabbed my phone and tried to stay silent. The man tugged on the handle. I said, "Open up." I hit the horn with my elbow before I even thought about it. The loud blast made him jump. He cursed and staggered away. I drove off shaking so badly that I had to pull over on the main road to breathe. After that night, I slept with a screwdriver under my pillow. I never had to use it, but holding it made me feel like I had some kind of power. 3 months passed, then 4, then 7. Seasons changed. Summer melted into fall. Fall turned into winter. I learned how cold a car can get at 3 a.m. I learned how to wrap clothes around my feet so they wouldn't go numb. I learned how to cry quietly so no one passing by would hear. But I also learned something else, something bigger. People think pain breaks you, but pain can also shape you. Pain can teach you. Pain can sharpen your mind until you see the world differently. And that is when the revenge started forming. Not out of anger, but out of clarity. I knew my mother was living in a new condo with Victor. I knew they were spending the money from the house sale like the world owed them something. I knew she never once called to check on me. So I began to watch them. Not follow them, watch them. I used public records to find things. I looked up property sales, tax documents, and old reports. I learned how to look at bank information legally. I learned how to look for patterns. I learned that Victor had been with 5 other women. Each of them had sold everything while dating him. Each of them lost all their money. Each of them ended up alone and broke. My mum wasn't the first. She was simply the easiest to trick, because she wanted so badly to feel loved. The more I learned, the more the fire inside me grew. But it wasn't wild. It was controlled, steady, focused. I didn't want to fight them with yelling or screaming. I didn't want to break anything or hurt anyone physically. No, I wanted the truth to do the work. I wanted the truth to break the lies they lived in. And I wanted to build a life so strong that they would have to look at me and see the child they threw away standing taller than both of them ever could. Around month 9, things began to change. My boss gave me more hours and a small raise. I saved enough for a tiny studio apartment. It wasn't perfect. The walls were thin, and the heater made a loud clicking sound. But it had 4 walls and a bed. A real bed. The first night I slept there, I cried, not because I was sad, but because I finally had a door I could close. A door that no one could force open. A door that was mine. And that's when I knew I was ready. Ready to take the next step. Ready to expose Victor. Ready to show my mom the truth, even if she didn't want to see it. My revenge didn't start with anger. It started with survival. And now that I had survived, the real story, the part where I rose, the part where everything they built came crashing down, was about to begin. When I moved into my tiny studio apartment, it felt like stepping out of a storm and into calm air. The first thing I did was sit on the floor with my back against the wall and take the deepest breath I had taken in months. No cold car seats, no strange noises outside, no fear of someone banging on my window, just a door, a lock, and silence. But even with that peace, I couldn't stop thinking about my mother and Victor. I didn't miss them. I didn't want them back. But I wanted justice, real justice, not the kind that disappears when people lie. And I knew I couldn't get it alone. So I started searching for the women who came before my mom. Finding them wasn't easy. I didn't have money for investigators. All I had was a cheap laptop, public records, and determination. But determination can be stronger than money. I began with property sale records. 5 names kept coming up. 5 women who'd sold their homes, land, or businesses within a year of dating someone who matched Victor's description. Different cities, different ages, different backgrounds. But one thing was the same. Each woman lost everything. Each sale was fast. Each payment trail looked clean. But when I looked deeper, something felt wrong. Too net, too controlled, too perfect. So I searched social media, old phone numbers, and public pages. I created a notebook where I wrote every detail. Dates, addresses, bank transfers, statements, notes. I worked slowly, like someone putting together a puzzle that fights back. 3 weeks later, I found the first woman. Her name was Mia. I wrote her an email. It was simple and honest. Hi, my name is Prout. I think the same man who hurt you may now be with my mother. I want to understand your story. I do not want anything from you. I only want the truth. I didn't expect her to reply, but she wrote back the next morning. Her email was long, 7 paragraphs. I read it 3 times. Her story was exactly like my mother's. Victor came into her life fast. He promised her dreams. He told her she was special. He said he wanted a future. Then he convinced her to sell her business so they could start new. He took the money. He vanished. She ended the email with, I am still trying to get my life back. I'm sorry he found another woman. I hope she listens before it's too late. I sat on my apartment floor, staring at those words. She listens. My mom didn't listen to me. Why would she listen to a stranger? After Mia, I found Ellie, Darla, Jade, and Sophia. 5 women, 5 stories, 5 paths leading straight to Victor. Whenever I found each one, I asked if we could talk. Sometimes they cried. Sometimes they were angry. But every single one of them wanted to be heard. One day, I set up a video call with all 5 of them. They hadn't met each other before. Seeing all their faces on my screen at once made my chest hurt. These were real people, real lives, real losses. When they realized their stories were nearly identical, the screen went silent. Then Mia said something I'll never forget. I thought I was stupid, but I see now. He's a professional, a thief, with a handsome face. And Ellie said, we never had a chance. And Darla added, he needs to be stopped. I nodded, even though my stomach felt tight. Then, we have to stop him together. We spent hours talking about what happened. Not gossip, not anger, facts, dates, messages, emails, bank trails, documents, everything. One woman had screenshots. Another had a printed letter. Another had an old bank statement with Victor's handwriting on it. Piece by piece, the puzzle got clearer. Piece by piece, the picture formed. He wasn't just a liar. He was a pattern, a strategy, a cycle. But for the first time, that cycle had a crack in it. Me, because I wasn't a victim. I was a witness. I was someone still close enough to Victor to understand what he was doing right now. And he had no idea I was collecting everything. I decided the next step was to talk to my mother. Not to forgive her. Not to reconnect. Not to pretend everything was fine. No, I needed information. I needed proof. So one Saturday afternoon, I drove to her new condo complex. It was bigger than our old house, fancier. Paid for with the money she got from selling everything we owned. I stood outside her door and knocked. She opened it and froze. What do you want? It hit me then she wasn't surprised to see me alive. She was annoyed. I need to talk to you, I said. She rolled her eyes. I'm busy. Victor and I are packing for a trip. She tried to shut the door, but I blocked it with my foot. Mom, this is serious. Please. She sighed like my voice was pain. What? There are other women. Before you. Victor did this to them too. Her face changed for 1 second, just one. A flicker of doubt. A tiny crack. But then she laughed. Oh, stop. You're jealous. You always wanted everything I had. That hit me harder than any slap could. Jealous? I whispered. You left me in a car. That was your choice, she snapped. You wanted to be dramatic. You could have begged to stay. My jaw dropped. Begged? Why would I beg my own mother not to throw me out? She shrugged. Life isn't fair. Grow up. She closed the door in my face. And this time, I didn't try to stop her. I walked back to my car with cold hands and a burning heart. I wasn't crying. I wasn't shaking. I was certain. My mother couldn't see the truth. She didn't want to, but that didn't matter anymore. Because I didn't need her to believe me. I had 5 women. I had documents. I had dates. I had evidence. And I was going to use it. Victor thought he could move from one woman to the next forever. He thought no one would ever link the stories together. He thought no one would look long enough, or smart enough, or strong enough to find the pattern. He was wrong. Because I was done surviving. Now I was ready to fight. And not with fists. With truth. With law. With something he couldn't outrun this time. Me. After my mother slammed the door on me, I sat in my car for a long time. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't even shake. I just sat there with my hands on the wheel, letting every piece of her coldness settle in my chest like ice. If she didn't want to see the truth, that was her choice. But I wasn't here to save her. I was here to stop him. The next morning, I spread everything out on the floor of my small apartment. The papers, screenshots, notes, voice messages, dates, timelines, everything. There were so many pages that I could barely see the carpet. Every woman's story, every strange payment, every promise Victor made, every lie he told, every home he drained, every life he ruined. It was all there. But raw information wouldn't be enough. I needed order. I needed proof. I needed something so clear that no one, especially not the law, could ignore it. So I bought a set of large folders from the dollar store and labeled them Victims, Money Trail, Lies and Messages, Property Sales, Personal Records, Victor, Possibly Crimes. Then I spent hours sorting, organizing, highlighting, and writing notes like a detective in a movie, except my movie was real, and my life was the cost. Sometimes I worked past midnight, too tired to see straight. Sometimes I fell asleep on the floor with papers stuck to my arms. Sometimes the memories burned too hard, and I had to stop just to breathe. But I never gave up. Because every piece of paper was another brick in the wall I was building around Victor, a wall that was going to trap him. One night, while I was sorting financial records, I found something strange, something that didn't fit the rest. A bank transfer from my mum's account to a business I didn't recognize. A small business. Weird name. Silver Lantern Imports. I searched it. No website. No phone number. No store. But I found a tiny line in a government file. Business closed after investigation, 3 years ago. My heart started beating hard. Why would Victor send money to a closed business? So I dug deeper and deeper, and then I found it. Victor was listed as the silent partner for Silver Lantern Imports under a different name. Mark Velasquez. Another identity, another life, another lie. And when I looked at the investigation report, everything inside me froze. The business had been closed for money laundering. For a long moment, I couldn't breathe. Victor wasn't just a manipulator of women. He wasn't just a smooth talker. He wasn't even just a thief. He was something worse, a criminal, and my mother had given him every dollar we owned. I called the women right away. We set up another video meeting. Their faces filled the screen. Worried but strong. I told them what I found, piece by piece. By the time I finished, Mia whispered, "This is bigger than we thought." Ellie said, "This isn't just bad luck. This man is dangerous." And Darla, the oldest of us, leaned close to her camera and said, "Then we take him down by law. We don't let him escape this time." So that's what we planned to do. I printed everything. I made copies of every file. I wrote a timeline clear, clean, powerful. Then I called the number I had been avoiding, the Financial Crimes Division. I told the officer, "I have information about a man connected to multiple women who lost everything. I think he might also be connected to a closed laundering business." Silence. Then, "Bring everything you have." The next day, I walked into the government building with a folder heavier than a brick. My hands shook, but my steps were steady. The detective, a woman with sharp eyes and a calm voice, sat across from me. "Tell me everything," she said. So I did. I told her the whole story. Everything from the house being sold, to the nights in my car, to the women, to the files, to the money trail, to the fake name, to the business investigation. She didn't interrupt once. When I finished, she looked at the evidence with slow, careful attention. Then she nodded. "This is strong. Very strong." My heart thudded. "We've had trouble tracking this man," she said. "But you've given us more than we ever had before." For a moment, I thought I would cry, but I held it in. "What happens next?" I asked. "We follow the money. We follow the identities. We follow the women. And when we're ready, we take him in." I nodded. But she wasn't finished. She leaned forward and said something I replayed 100 times later. "You survived him. Most people don't. That makes you important. And brave." I didn't feel brave. I felt tired. drained, like the fight had eaten pieces of me. But her words lit something inside me. Something small but bright. Hope. That night, when I sat on my apartment floor, I thought about my mother. I wondered where she was. If she was smiling. If she was packing for that trip. I wondered if Victor was already planning to leave her once the money ran out. And I wondered if she would ever understand what I had done. Not for her, but because she deserved to know the truth even if it destroyed her world. Because the truth was coming. Fast. And this time, Victor couldn't run. I wasn't just building a case anymore. I was building the end of his story. And the beginning of mine. The investigation didn't move fast, but it moved steady, like a train you could hear long before you saw it. The detective kept in contact with me. She asked for more documents, more details, more messages. Every time she called, my heart jumped, even if the news was small. Meanwhile, something strange started happening. Victor began to change. Not around me, I wasn't in his life anymore, but around my mom. I could see it from far away, like storm clouds gathering. He stopped posting happy pictures online. He stopped smiling so big in photos. He started following new women on social media, women who looked wealthy. And my mom? She looked tired. Her eyes had dark circles. Her clothes weren't fancy anymore. She looked like someone who had been running after a man who didn't want to be caught. One day, I saw a picture she posted of them at a restaurant. She smiled, but he didn't even look at the camera. He was staring at his phone, and I knew exactly what that meant. He was getting ready to leave her, just like the others. I wasn't surprised, but I felt something strange, something I didn't want to feel. Sadness. Not for him. Never for him. But for her, even after everything she did, some small part of me still wished she hadn't chosen him. Still wished she hadn't thrown me out. Still wished she had been a mother. Even if she didn't deserve my tears, I still felt them. But I wiped them away. Because feelings don't stop truth. And the truth was coming. The detective called me one afternoon while I was slicing fruit at the smoothie shop. We found something new, she told me. I stepped into the back room, my hands shaking. What is it? Your mother's accounts are empty. My chest dropped. Empty? All the money from the house? All the money from the land? All my grandmother's savings? Gone. He moved it, the detective said. We traced several transfers to an account under one of his fake names. You were right, he plans to disappear. What about my mother? I whispered. She paused. She might be in danger of losing everything. I pressed my hand to my forehead. She already lost me. I know, the detective said gently. But you should warn her, even if she refuses to listen. My stomach twisted. I didn't want to see her again. I didn't want to feel her cold words again. But the detective was right. If I didn't warn her, I'd feel guilty forever. So I said, I'll try. That evening, I drove to her condo for the last time. The sky was grey, like it already knew what was coming. I stood at her door and knocked. No answer. I knocked again. Harder. Finally, she opened the door a crack. She looked worse up close. Hair messy. Eyes red. A shake in her hands. What do you want? She muttered. I need to talk to you, I said. She rolled her eyes. Again? Yes, it's important. Please. After a long moment, she opened the door wider. Victor wasn't home. I stepped inside and looked around. The place was messy. Papers everywhere. Unpaid bills stacked on the counter. Suitcases open, but empty. My mother stood with her arms crossed. Say what you came to say. I took a deep breath. Victor is leaving you. She laughed, but it wasn't a happy laugh. More like a broken one. He said he loves me. He said that to 5 other women. I answered gently. Her mouth tightened, but she didn't speak. He took your money, I continued. All of it. The police are already watching him. She blinked fast, like she was trying not to cry. I don't believe you, she whispered. So I opened my folder and showed her what I had found. The fake names, the secret accounts, The transfers. The other women. The reports. Everything. For a long moment, she stared at the papers without moving. Then her legs shook, and she sat down on the edge of the couch. Her face went pale. She pressed a hand to her forehead. I didn't know, she whispered. You didn't want to know, I thought. But I didn't say it. She looked up at me with eyes full of fear. Where is he now? I shook my head. I don't know. But he's planning something. Packing. Preparing. She covered her face with both hands. I gave him everything. Yes, I said softly. You did. And I lost you, she whispered. That part hurt. I'm sorry, she said. And for the first time it sounded real. But it was too late to go back. I wasn't a little girl begging for her love anymore. I wasn't someone she could control. I wasn't someone who wanted her approval. I was someone who survived. And she was someone who finally realized what she had done. Mom, I said quietly, you need to leave him. Now. She nodded weakly, wiping her eyes. I'll tell the detective you're ready to help, I said. It might protect you. She nodded again. And for the first time, in a long time, she looked small. Not like a mother. Not like someone powerful. Just a person who made a terrible choice and was paying the price. There was a long silence. Then she whispered, Thank you for coming. I nodded, but I didn't hug her. I didn't say I forgave her. I didn't say things were okay. I simply said, Goodbye. And I meant it, because even though the story wasn't over, my part with her was. When I left the condo and walked to my car, something inside me felt lighter. Not happy, not healed, but clear. Now all that was left was Victor, and his time was running out. The next few days felt like the air before a storm, hot, heavy, and strange. I kept waiting for the detective to call. I kept checking the news. I kept watching Victor's online accounts like a hawk. Then it happened. He disappeared. No posts. No messages. No pictures with my mother. Nothing. Just silence. My mother called me, her voice shaking. He's gone. All his things are gone. How? I didn't say, I told you so. I didn't even feel like saying it. Because the moment he disappeared, something inside me clicked. This was it. The final step. The detective called me an hour later. We found activity on one of his accounts, she said. He bought a one-way plane ticket under one of his fake names. When does he leave? I asked, gripping my phone tight. Tonight. Tonight. Everything in my body turned into fire and nerves and focus. Where is he? I whispered. We can't give all details, she said. But I can tell you this. We're moving in on him now. Your work made this possible. My heart jumped so hard it hurt. It was happening. After a year of sleeping in a car, surviving, fighting, digging, and building the case, this was the moment everything turned. I didn't know if I should sit or stand or scream. Instead, I paced around my apartment, counting every breath. 2 hours passed. Then 3. I stared at the clock so long the numbers blurred. I held my phone so tight my hand went numb. Then the phone buzzed. The detective. I took a deep breath and answered. It's done, she said. I didn't speak. I couldn't. We arrested him at the airport. He had fake passports, cash, and documents from several women, including your mother. My knees almost gave out. He's being charged with fraud, identity crimes, and money laundering. More charges will follow once we finish going through the evidence. I sat down slowly, like the whole world had suddenly become too light. He can't run anymore, she added. I closed my eyes. For the first time, in a long time, I felt safe. My mother wasn't with him when they took him. She didn't even try to defend him. When the police called her, she cried not angry tears, not fake ones, real ones. She sent me a short message later. I'm sorry. For everything. I'm getting help. I hope you have a good life. I didn't reply. I wasn't ready for that. Maybe one day. Maybe never. Right now, I needed peace more than anything else. A week passed. Then a month. I kept working at the smoothie shop. I bought a small desk for my apartment. I put up a plant by the window. It was the first thing I owned that felt alive. I watered it every morning like it was a promise to myself. The women and I stayed in touch. We checked on each other. We helped each other heal. We celebrated small things, birthdays, new jobs, quiet mornings when no one felt afraid. We weren't victims anymore. We weren't broken pieces. We were survivors. And we were stronger together.
Thank you for coming on the show, Emma.
Thank you for having me, Revenge Station.